प्रपन्नपारिजाताय तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः. Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Bhakti Shastri course. We are now in the 16th chapter. We discussed the errors and the disasters of the demoniac worldview and living. Now we will continue that, and the demons are motivated by lust and by greed. They want to enjoy sense gratification, for that they want money. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. These four are they form a balanced worldview. But the demons want to remove dharma out, and they want to cut off moksha also. So artha and kama is also all that they want. And Krishna talks about how bhoga ishwarya prasaktanam taya apahrita chetasam. So bhoga is kama and aishwarya is artha. And both of these abduct the soul away. So let's look at the verses. So now right now, in the overview part, if we see, what we are looking at is the activities of the demoniac. So how do they act? We'll look at this. Chintam aparimeyam cha pralayantam upashritaha kamopabhoga parama etavaditi nishchitaha आशापाशशतैर्बद्धः कामक्रोधपरायणः ईहन्ते कामभोगार्थम् अन्यायेनार्थसञ्चयान्. So chintam aparimeyam cha. Chinta is anxiety. Aparimeyam cha, unlimited anxiety, immeasurable anxiety. Pralayantam upashritaha. Pralayantam, till the moment of pralay. So pralay, as we discussed earlier, can refer to cosmic destruction, or it can be referred to the destruction at the time of death of within a person. Pralayantam upashritaha. Upashritaha. So till the moment of death, they are filled with anxiety. In fact, they have taken shelter of those anxieties. Now, why would somebody take shelter of anxieties? Actually, one doesn't take shelter of anxieties, but one takes shelter of something that leads to anxieties. What is that? Kamopabhoga parama. Kama upabhog, the enjoyment of sense gratification, of lust, of sensuality. Parama, parama is supreme. That Prabhupada translated that they have ascertained that sense gratification is the prime necessity of life. Parama, Prabhupada in the word to word translation put is the highest goal of life. They think that that everything in life is meant to give us kamopabhog. Etavad iti nishchitaha. Etavad. This they have ascertained. This is certainty. Iti nishchitaha. Asha pasha shatair baddha. Asha pasha. They are bound by desires. And how many desires? Shatair baddha. Hundreds of desires. Kama krodha parayanaha. Kama krodha. Lust and anger. They have sold themselves out to lust and anger. Ihante kama bhogartham. And for the sake of kama bhoga, ihante, for the sake of enjoying sense gratification, anyayenartha sanchayan. Sanchaya is to collect. So anya is injustice, immorality, illegality. So they immorally collect wealth. How they collect wealth immorally will be discussed in the next verse. So let's look at this verse a little bit more. So this verse talks about, first and foremost, chintam aparimeyam cha. So in life, we can do either chintan or we do chinta. Chintan is contemplation, especially contemplation on the Supreme Law, on the higher truths of life, and the highest truth is Krishna. So contemplation on Krishna is chintan. So chinta, if we don't do chintan, if our mind doesn't have a steady, satisfying, stabilizing object of thought, then the mind naturally thinks about worldly things. And when we think about worldly things, the result is, because no worldly thing is everlasting, it cannot offer us any lasting shelter. So therefore the result is chinta. If we think about sense objects, Then there is chinta, whether I'll get it or not. If I get it, will it stay with me or not? If it stays with me, how long will it stay with me? Will it go away in the future from me? Chintam aparimeyam cha. And actually these anxieties are immeasurable. Immeasurable. Why? Because there are so many desires, and each of the desires leads to anxieties. So, until when do the anxieties last? Pralayantam. Even till the moment of death, we'll just stay on in anxiety. On and on and on and on. Kali Yuga is so perverse that all the troubles have become multiplied, especially in the modern times where people have gone further and further away from God. Why is that? Because the important point is to recognize that when people don't have a stabilizing shelter, then they are left at the mercy of the mind's vagaries, and the mind takes them here, buffets them here and there, and wherever the mind goes, their thoughts go, and because the mind is restless, they remain restless. So this is a broad principle which cuts across religious boundaries. St. Augustine said that, you, O God, O Lord, you have made us for seeking rest in you, and without you we never find any rest. So chintam aparimayam cha, immeasurable anxiety remains. And we see that one of the primary defining characteristics of the modern civilization is chinta. That wherever modern civilization has gone, there the stress has come about. So there is basic trouble in the material world by kuntha. This world is kuntha. That means there is anxiety in this world. That is true. But the modern anxiety is far levels more, many levels more. That's because it's actually chinta. There is so much pressure, so many things to do, so many uncertainties and so many complications. So because of chintam aparimeyam. So, and stress itself is one problem, but stress, according to World Health Organization, stress and mental health problems are going to be the biggest problems in the current century, biggest health problems, biggest health challenge. So AIDS, cancer, heart attack, these are major killers, but stress is also a huge threat, which not only takes its own toll directly, but also contributes to a variety of mental problems. There are anxiety disorders that people have, and then there is actually, according to some health researchers, in many Western societies, what is called as an anxiety epidemic. Anxiety epidemic means there is so much anxiety among people that there are people who have varieties of disorders and mental problems, which all comprise the anxiety epidemic. So it says there is an AIDS epidemic, or there can be a epidemic of TB or different diseases. So anxiety. Now we may say, anxiety, cool down, man, don't worry. Now don't worry is a very simple statement to say, but for people who are afflicted by anxiety, giving up anxiety is not easy. And especially this anxiety becomes manifold when we may not think about why the anxiety is there, and people don't even realize it. Anxiety comes because of desires and attachments. So the more our desires and attachments, the greater is our anxiety. Kam upabhoga parama. So kam upabhoga parama. So when we have the desire to enjoy sense gratification, and we make that the supreme goal of life, then everything becomes centered on that. So if I try to enjoy the sense objects, will I be able to enjoy or not? Will I get that object? Will it stay with me? So many complications come up because of the desire for sense gratification. So chintam aparimeyam cha. So both the Avanti Brahmana and the Avadhut Brahmana, these are the two renunciates in the Bhagavatam, among the many renunciates, who speak out and they give profound realizations. So Pashyami Dhaninam Klesham. So the the Avadut Brahmana in the 7th canto says Pashyami. I am seeing what? Dhaninam Klesham. Klesham. People are simply in misery. Vyarthaya Arthe Haya. And the Avanti Brahmana says Vyarthaya Arthe Haya. Vyarthaya, in futile, Arthe Haya. A person works extremely hard, craves and slaves for gaining wealth. But ultimately what one gets is anxiety. So the more we are attached to things, the more we suffer the anxieties. I once wrote a poem about this, that people in the parties are seen to do cheers, and that's seen as a sign of celebration. But what is often the reality? Their hearts are filled with fears. Their minds are pierced by desires. These two things. Fears, chintam uparimayam cha. Minds are pierced by desires. Asha pasha shatair baddha. So, kamopabhoga parama. So their hearts are filled with fears, their minds are pierced by desires. Every desire is like a sharp stab, pierces. I want this, I want this, I want this. The minds are filled with pierced by desires. They are on the verge of tears. So because of fears and desires, they are on the verge of tears. And they say cheers. They say cheers. So it's a case of smiling faces and crying hearts. People are actually not happy, although they may put on a facade of happiness. So, chintam aparimayam cha, unlimited anxiety. And when people think that there is no goal other than sense gratification, or sense gratification is the highest goal of life, then the object which they are chasing is not in their control, and it may go off because somebody else. There are hundreds of other people wanting it. The sense gratification, there is so much competition for it. And there can be savagery in that competition also. So what happens is, when people make sense gratification their goal, then the desires become their masters. Asha pasha shatair baddha. And all the desires, they are invisible ropes, nooses, pasha, just pulling them, dragging them. Asha pasha shatair baddha. Shatair, hundreds of desires, baddha, they are all bound by them. And then kama krodha parayanaha. So they become kama krodha parayanaha. Instead of becoming Narayan parayanaha, instead of being devoted to Lord Narayan, they've become devoted to kama krodha, to lust and anger. Why kama and krodha? Because we have desires and we don't get desires. I want to be the enjoyer, that is the desire. And when I don't get enjoyment, then nobody should be the enjoyer. Destroy everything. Krodha. So that's why whenever people there are love affairs and then there is frustration, then often the jilted partner wants to attack and deface or even destroy the other partner. Kama, when unsatisfied, leads to krodha. So kama krodha parayana. And then ihante kama bhogartham. So for kama bhoga, what do? Anyayen artha sanchayan. Anyayen. So actually, kama, it is said that when kama is unfulfilled, it leads to krodha. When kama is there, I say kama is here. When kama is unfulfilled, it leads to krodha. When kama is fulfilled, it leads to lobha. And in both ways, it traps us. How is that? When we have desires and they're not fulfilled, then the anger comes up, and if I can't enjoy, then whoever has stopped me from enjoyment, I will destroy that person. Or if I can't destroy, then whatever is the object of enjoyment, nobody should be able to enjoy it. So kama leads to krodha, when kama is unfulfilled. And if kama is fulfilled, then it leads to lobha. Why? Because and I want more and more and more. So say when a man is attracted to a woman, and then say that a relationship somehow works out, they decide to develop a relationship, then the man wants to please the woman, and so therefore he has to get gifts for her, and she demands, give me this, give me that, give me that. And then that leads to lobha. We see Ajamil is a cultured Brahmana, but then once he fell prey to the prostitute, then the result of that was that anyayenartha sanchayan, he started doing violence. For a cultured brahmana, to even speak a lie is considered to be a great wrong, and the brahmana doesn't even do that. But Ajamil, what was his plight? He was not just speaking lies, but he was arresting. He was catching people, looting people, and wounding sometimes. So he became a common dacoit. So from an elevated brahmana who just lives in pursuit of Brahman and performs dharmic activities and gets charity, the opposite of charity is dacoitry. The extreme opposite of charity. Charity means others give voluntarily. Dacoitry means one takes away forcibly, even at threat of killing others. So you say from where to where a person can fall. Why? Because ihante kama bhogartham. For the sake of kama bhoga, for the sake of enjoying sense gratification. Anyayenartha sanchayan. One can go to the extremes of anyaya. I would do all kinds of violence and immorality and illegality to fulfill the desires. So greed can, once one has got up with a desire to enjoy anything and everything can happen. So people can become terribly violent. Anyayen artha sanchayan. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Prabhupada writes that such a foolish people do not know that a physician cannot prolong life even for a moment. When the notices there is no consideration for the mind desires. So Prabhupada is talking about the people wanting to pralayantam upashitaha. That means till the moment of death they think, yes, I want to enjoy. And associated with enjoyment there is anxiety. There is anxiety because the desires to enjoy never end. And till the last moment they think, yes, maybe I will extend myself and I will enjoy more and more and more. Now, the desire to want to extend one's life is not wrong. Even twice in the Bhagavatam, in the 8th canto and the 10th canto, it is said that it is the duty of a person to protect one's body. So Vasudev, he tries his best to protect Dharma, and so he tries to protect Devaki's body, and he has to protect himself also, because Kamsa is so mad that he will kill Devaki and he will kill even Kamsa, Vasudev also. So even Shukracharya tells Bali Maharaj in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that a tree can give fruits only when it is alive. Similarly, the human body is meant to give us the fruits of Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, but it can give us those fruits only when one is alive. Therefore, it is a duty of a person to protect one's life, and for that to protect one's means of livelihood. So, protecting one's life is not wrong, but just letting the material aspect of life monopolize all our time and monopolize all our endeavors is disastrously wrong. Because no matter how much endeavors we do, ultimately we all have to die. Hoping that by some means or the other we'll be able to prolong our life, that is just a fantasy. So there are people who are different. Since ancient times, different people have tried different ways to try to prolong, either prolong their lives or the hope that we can come back to life again in future. But none of this is ever going to happen, because at a material level, mortality is certain. So rather than trying to prolong life, we should long for the prolonged life. Not just prolong life, for the eternal life. So we can't prolong life here, but we can long for the eternal life, not the prolonged. That is at the spiritual level, which we can attain. So that is possible by purification and elevation. Purification and elevation of our consciousness can raise our consciousness from material to spiritual level. But the demoniac don't believe in the spiritual level, so they are stuck at the material level. And at the material level, they struggle and strain to somehow fulfill their desires, and they never can, because they are caught up in sense gratification so much. Now, here we talk about chinta maparimeyam cha. So, Kali Yuga has become so much distorted that people have hundreds and thousands and millions of distractions. That's why asha pasha shatair baddha, hundreds of desires, and actually every advertisement is like a desire producing industry. The whole idea of advertisements is, the evil genius of advertisement is to make people believe that they can't live without the things which they don't need at all to live. So something which we don't need at all, create a desire. People are people are having black hair, and then there's some advertisement about how blonde hair is so attractive, and they may have some blonde haired female icon who just attracts everyone by the blonde hair, and then you can make this hair blonde and you can attract everyone, and then this advertisement is portrayed in such an aggressive way that people start thinking that I need to have blonde hair, I need to have blonde hair, I need to have blonde hair, and in that way blonde hair dyes are marketed and sold. So there are so many needs that are created by the media. So every advertisement is like is a desire producing industry. Every hoarding, every advertisement, every promotion, every commercial. So asha pasha shatair baddha. And more the desires, the more the pull, the more the tug, the more the bondage. And this rope is such that actually the more we enjoy, the thicker and the tighter the rope becomes. Thicker means that actually every enjoyment adds a strand to the rope, every indulgence. Because now we have done the activity, so the samskara, the impression goes deeper, and the pattern in the mind becomes more deep rooted. And then not only does the rope become thicker, but it also becomes tighter. You have lesser and lesser freedom. When a person becomes addicted, say, to alcohol, maybe the person is drinking once a week, then maybe once in 3 days, then once a day, then maybe 3 times a day, and then maybe person cannot live without alcohol. Every hour a person has to have something. So what is happening? The rope that is dragging a person is becoming thicker and tighter. So indulgence really increases the torture, increases the bondage. Now let's move forward. Now Krishna tells about how people commit violence for the sake of money. Idamadhyamaya labdham imam prapse manoratham idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam aso maya hatah shatru anishye cha paranapi ishvaroham ham bhogi siddhoham balvan sukhi adhyo abhijanvan asmi konyosti sadrusho maya yakshe dasyami modishya ityajnana vimohitaha. So idam adya maya labdham. Idam adya, this much, maya labdham, this much I have labdham, obtained, gained. Imam prapse manoratham. Manoratha, this is a beautiful image. The mind is compared to be a chariot. In the Vedic times, if people wanted to move fast and move comfortably also, then we go on a chariot. If you go on a horse, then one can move fast, but then a horse is not very comfortable. One has to manage the horse, and the horse can move restlessly, and then it's not the most comfortable ride, maybe fast. But if one wants to move reasonably fast, maybe not as fast as on a horseback, but fast and yet comfortable, then the chariot is the way. So somebody else is driving the chariot, and one simply has to sit behind, and one goes along comfortably that way. So manoratham, so like that we sit in the mind's chariot, and sit in the mind's chariot means we just dream, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll gain this, I'll gain that. So like that one sits on the ratha, manoratham. So this is a different metaphor from the sharira ratha. There is a body chariot analogy, chariot body analogy that is different. In that the mind is the reins and the intelligence is charioteer. Here it's the mind itself is compared to the chariot, and we are the passenger. So we sit in the chariot of the mind and we just go here, go there, thinking I'll do this, do that. So imam prapse manoratham. I'm with this plan, okay, I'll get this, I'll get that, I'll get that, I'll get that. So Bhakti Thakur would often tell stories in the Updeshapakyan. And then Acharya also told stories. Poor person thinks that, okay, the person just got a little bit of money. The person thinks that, okay, in the future, now I've got this little, the person gets a little milk. The person thinks that, okay, I'll sell this milk and then I'll make money. And I'll make a money, then I'll get more milk and I'll sell more money, get more money. And like that I'll go and then I'll have a cow. And then I'll get so much milk from that cow that I'll have several cows. And then I have many cows and I'll have a nice house. And then when I have a nice house, then I will have a wife. And that wife I will make her obey me and dance to my tunes. And if she doesn't obey me, then I will make her obey me and I'll hit her. I'll control her, and he moves his hand, tak. And as he moves his hand, tak. The milk pot that is there, tak, it falls and the milk topples over. So what has happened is the person is thinking that I will have so much and I'll do this manoratha. Imagining so many things, but what is there in the hand, it's loss. Imam prapse manoratham idamasti idamapi me bhavishyati punardhanam. So idamasti idamapi me, this much I have right now. Bhavishyati, in the future, punardhanam, I will have much, much more. Bhavishyati punardhanam. Now, in this world, the wealth, the resources are limited, the desires are unlimited. So there is wealth and there are people are competing for wealth. Wars have been fought just for the sake of wealth. People are ready to beg, borrow, steal, kill, not just kill one people but commit slaughter and massacres for the sake of money. So the person thinks, if I am going to pursue wealth, then I am going to have enemies. So asau maya hatah shatrur. Hatah shatrur. This enemy I have already killed. So here Krishna is, as he is describing the mentality, this seems to be like the description of some underworld dons. People who are demoniac, who don't hesitate. People, they hire mercenaries. Any enemy is there, I'll pay you money, just go and kill him. So asau maya hatah shatrur, and this enemy I have killed. Hanishye chaparanapi, and that person I will kill after that in the future. I'll send him off to hell. Hanishye chaparanapi, and then after that, like that, when I have killed everyone, then what will happen? Ishwaroham aham bhogi. So this is the God project of the demoniac. Actually, the demoniac are out to be God, be number one. So God is the controller and God is the enjoyer. So of course we can control and enjoy when we are the proprietors. So they want to proprietor. So let's talk about so as soon as I get property, once things are mine, then what will I do after that? I want to control it, and I control it for what sake? To enjoy it. So Ishwaroham aham bhogi. So that is the idea, that I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. And this actually, we have seen in the Bhagavad Gita how Krishna says that Bhoktaram Yajnatapasam, that he is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. He is the enjoyer of everything actually. And he is the supreme Ishvara, Mayadhyakshena Prakritihi. So, but this is, the person is trying to displace God, do a coup and try to become God. It may not be that the person is explicitly thinking that I want to become God. There are some people who think like that also. Like the King Vena in the Bhagavatam's 4th canto explicitly told the Brahmanas that you should worship me. I no need to worship Narayan. But there are some people who may do like that explicitly. But others may not do that explicitly, but that subconsciously desire there. Ishvaro aham bhogi. I am the Ishvara, I am the bhogi. And then Siddho aham balvan sukhi. Siddho aham. I am perfect, I am strong, I am happy. The ultimate goal is they want to be happy. Siddho aham balvan sukhi. Siddho aham. I am Siddha, I am perfect. Now when one thinks like the balvan sukhi. So when one thinks like this, the whole idea is, in the world there is a fascination with champions. So in the sports, that person wants to be, I want to be the number one. either it is hockey or cricket or tennis or chess. Now this desire to be number one in and of itself is not always bad. Krishna is the best, and being his parts, we have his desires also. So we also should naturally want to do the best that we can. But when a devotee wants to do good, the devotee's idea of doing good is, or even doing the best, is not just to try to. A devotee does the best, not to gain appreciation from the world, but to give Krishna, not to gain worldly recognition, but to give Krishna recognition. What does it mean? Not to gain worldly recognition. A devotee doesn't want to be the best so that I can prove that I am bigger and better than everyone else and everyone is lower than me. That is not the motive of the devotee. The devotee's motive is that I want to do the best that I can do. So if Krishna's mercy, if he has given me some talents, I want to use them for his service and I want to give Krishna recognition. So how do we give Krishna recognition? If we succeed in doing extraordinary things in Krishna's service, then that will bring attention to Krishna also. The devotee, this person is also wonderful and this person is a devotee of Krishna. So it will be glorious to give Krishna recognition. But on the other hand, even if that doesn't happen, if whatever abilities we have, we use them to the best of our capacity in Krishna's service and we give Krishna recognition. Krishna, it is you who have given me these abilities and I am grateful to you that you have given me these abilities and I am using them in your service. So to give Krishna recognition, we give Krishna recognition by this, and by that we Siddhoham Balavan Sukhi Siddhoham. So we don't think that I am number one, but we understand that I will do my best for Krishna's service. But so like that, Hanuman, he did better than what he thought he could have done. Actually, when he was initially he was forgetful of his ability. He had forgotten his abilities because of the earlier curse of the sages. When Jambavan, when they were on the coast of the ocean to go over to Lanka, so at that time Jambavan reminded Hanuman of his abilities, and Hanuman did stupendous feats in the Lord's service. But Hanuman was not thinking Ishvaro aham aham bhogi. Hanuman single-handedly devastated at that time one of the universe's most formidable armies. He went into the enemy camp right inside and devastated Lanka, burning practically half of Lanka and reducing it to ashes and ruins, single-handedly. But he did not think Ishvaro aham aham bhogi. So the idea is not that a devotee should not excel, but a devotee doesn't think that devotee doesn't ever wants to excel, and excel in the sense that I want to supersede Krishna. No, devotee wants to glorify Krishna. So we excel for the sake of Krishna's pleasure. But here the demoniac, they want to excel for the glorification of their own ego. Then Adyo Abhijanvan Asmi. So Adyo is Adyo is I am wealthy. Abhijanvan Asmi. Jana is people. Abhijanvan Asmi is I am surrounded by aristocratic relatives. So people want to move around in glamorous social circles. People want to be associated with VIPs. I know that person, and see, I got a photo with that person. I move in that same social circle. I know this person, I know that person. So this is what actually it is the pleasure that comes from proximity with those who are famous. I know that. So Abhijanvan Asmi, Konyosti Sadrusho Maya. And then, who is there like me? One of Krishna's characteristics is that he is Asamurdhva. Asamurdhva means there is no one equal to him. But the yogi thinks, Konyosti Sadrusho Maya. Who is as good as me? Muhammad Ali was a great, was one of the world's biggest boxers. And as he used to fight, and he said, when he would knock people, just knock them out completely. He was such a fierce fighter. But eventually, by the time he came to his retirement, generally what happens is when sports stars are playing, they just want to drag on, and they don't want to retire because they have the idea that they have been ruling on top, at the top of their career, and at the center of attention, and then they just don't want to give up, they don't want to lose that. But then thus the body takes it away from them. They just can't do it. They may the same player who was the star performer, now that person can't even perform below par, leave alone above par. Why? Because the body just takes away. It's helplessly frustrating for a person who has been in the top for so long to suddenly find that I just can't do anything. I was so long on top, I was ruling, but now I can't do anything. And no matter how much I try, it just doesn't work. It's so frustrating. So this boxer, there was another challenger, and earlier this boxer just defeated him thoroughly. With this, Muhammad Ali had defeated him thoroughly. But then later on, when there's a match, Muhammad Ali is such a shadow of himself. He was easily defeated by the opposing boxer, and then his opposing boxer said, actually in the match I had to check myself. Otherwise in the match I would have hurt him. I didn't want to hurt him seriously or mortally. So I checked from playing my best. And even without playing his best, the opposing boxer defeated champion boxer very easily. The erstwhile champion boxer. So that actually we cannot stay on top for. Somebody may say, oh, I stayed on top for this much time. At least I have that satisfaction. But that satisfaction doesn't last for long. One may think I was there at the top, but afterwards the craving is there. I wanted to be there, I wanted to be there, I wanted to be there. There was an Indian cricketer who had some cricket record of having scored the maximum number of runs long ago. And then an Australian cricketer came and broke his record. And then this Indian cricketer said, what was his reaction? He said, I was like a bird flying in the sky, and suddenly somebody has come and clipped my wings. And I can do nothing but see myself plummeting down helplessly. And now because this cricketer has retired, he cannot break the record and he cannot make another record now. So just lost. So like that, gone with the wind. The records just go away. So, koanyo asti sadrisho maya, thinking that I am no one greater than me. What is this? Yakshe dasyami modishya. So this is illusion. To think that there can be no one greater than me. But that is the illusion of the godless people. And yakshe dasyami modishya. Now, these people are completely self-centered, so self-centered that actually they are egomaniac. Self-centered means to not think about anything else, but mania means it's an irrational obsession. It's a fixation. It's a fetish. Just one can't think about anything else. Obsessed with thinking of one thing. So the mania is like that. And egomania means one just has the ideas. That I am so great, I am so great. The megalomania it can be called. The mania about oneself and about one's own glories. So one wants not only the glory of worldly fame, but also one wants the glory of religious fame. People should think of me also as a good person. So then what I'll do? Yakshe, I'll do some sacrifices, and then dasyami, I'll give some charity, and then modishya, I'll get so much reputation. I am such a charitable person, I am such a religious person, I am such a noble person. And I will enjoy through that. So many times, nowadays for example, people, they have for them religion also becomes just a social cosmetic. That means a cosmetic is made there to something to look better. So social cosmetic means that they adopt religion is actually meant to be a heart transformer, not face transformer. Face transfer cosmetic is basically, it is a face transformer. It just makes us look better than we are, but it doesn't change us internally. Religion is meant to be a heart transformer. But people who use it as a face transformer means that they use it just to look good. So they don't want to surrender to God, but they just want to pretend to be religious or appear to be religious in the world's eyes so that they will get praise from the world for that. Yakshe dasyami modishya. So they think that I'll give charity and I'll become famous as a religious person. So often people want, they will give donations, but they want their names very prominently displayed wherever they have given donations. So now in some cases, even in temples, this may be done to facilitate people to do service for Krishna. So, yena kena prakarana mana Krishna niveshayet. So, the idea of giving donations is what? That we are meant to give our heart to Krishna. But if we can't give our heart to Krishna, then we should give what is in our heart to Krishna. What does that mean? That means we actually meant to give our heart to Krishna. But if our heart is attached to materialistic things, if our heart is attached to money, then what do? We give that money, a little bit of the money to Krishna. So when we give our money to Krishna, we give what's in our heart to Krishna. Then what happens by that? Then we are giving a part of our heart to Krishna. By that, we give Krishna a place in our heart. And once we give Krishna a place in our heart, and Krishna is very intelligent, so only he will expand that place. He will reveal his attractiveness and sweetness, and then he will expand that place and he will attract our whole heart to him. That's how eventually we will become completely attracted to Krishna. This will happen over a period of time. But the idea is giving donations. If somebody gives donation to Krishna, whatever be the motive, it is good. So, but here Krishna is talking from the point of view of the demoniac who have no intention to surrender to Krishna, and their idea is they want religion to just become one more ornament, one more feather in their cap, another medal or another badge of honor on their chest. That is unfortunate. So that's why Krishna gives the final twist in the tale in this world. So he's describing the demoniac mentality very vividly. But then he says, the twist in the tale comes, he says, Iti ajnana vimohitaha. Thus, ajnana vimohitaha. In this way, these people are bewildered by ignorance. Ajnana. Why is it ajnana? Because all this is illusion. None of this is going to last. We cannot carry even one penny with us from this life to the next life. Whatever enjoyment we have, when the body loses its capacity to enjoy, it all becomes useless. So, iti ajnana vimohitaha. It's unfortunate that people get so infatuated by things, none of which are going to last. Now, when Krishna talks about these people, yakshe dasyam vimodishya, so the religious ego can also be very deceptive. Often people build temples. So for example, there was competition. Some people say, I will build a Hanuman deity, which is 10 feet. Somebody else says, I will build a Hanuman deity, just 20 feet. Somebody else says, like people do auction. I bid this much amount, I did this much amount, I bid this. So like that they do, they do competition. I built a temple of Hanuman with 50 feet deity. Somebody with a 55 feet deity. And then I got the world's highest Hanuman deity. I built that like that. So like that people just go on and on. So, and when the deity is there, when the deity is built, are they taking darshan of Krishna over there, or of Hanuman over there, or are they taking darshan of the exhibition of their own ego? So religion should be a sanctuary for a soul. It should not become the gymnasium for the ego. Gymnasium is a place where people build their muscles and exhibit their muscles. So the ego, see, I am so great, I am so great, I am so great. It shouldn't be a gymnasium for the ego like that. So then Krishna further describes that what happens to such people? Aneka chitta vibhranta mohajala samavritaha prasaptaha kama bhogeshu patanti narakeshu cham. So aneka chitta vibhranta. Aneka chitta. So the eka is one, aneka is more than one, many. Chitta is consciousness, vibhranta. So vibhranta is perplexed completely. So their consciousness is pulled in so many directions that what happens to them is they're dragged here, there, here, anek. I have to do that, I have to do that, I have to go here, I have to go there. So mohajala samavritaha. They're completely covered over. Mohajal, by the network of illusion. So it's Krishna has earlier talked about asha pash. So he's talking again in the language of traps. Desire as noose, and now he's talking about illusion as a net or as a network, as Prabhupada translates. So jala is a trap or a network. So actually, when people go into illusion, it's not just one strand, it's a network which completely traps them. Mohajal samavritaha, samavritaha, completely covered over. One can't perceive spiritual reality only. People go so deep into illusion that they just can't think of anything beyond their own material desires and their own material hopes. Just can't think about anything. Moha. Samavrita. Avrita is covered. Samavrita is completely covered. So illusion completely covered. And prasaktaha kama bhogeshu. So asakta is attached. Prasakta is very strongly attached. Kama bhogeshu. So because of the desire for enjoying sense gratification, patanti narekeshu chau. So patanti, they fall away to hell. Ashuchau. Their whole lives are, Shuchi is clean. Cleanliness. Krishna has talked about cleanliness several times in this Bhagavad Gita. But he says the demoniac are unclean. Na chaucham na pichacharo. He had said earlier in 16.7 also. Patanti narakeshu chau. Narakeshu chau. They fall away. They fall away like this. It is disastrous for them. So here aneka chitta vibhranta. Aneka chitta. Why aneka chitta? There's so many things to do. Shankaracharya has written many verses in his poetic compositions wherein he does exposes of material life. He shows how material life is empty and frustrating. So he says how there are endless distractions. So he says Balavastha Krida Saktam Tarunavastha Taruni Raktam Vruddhavastha Chinta Magnam Param Brahma Kopi Nasaktam. So he says that in childhood Balavastha, when a person is in childhood, Krida Saktam. I want to play, I want to do this, I want to do that. So people are just children are just caught up in playing. They don't want to think about anything else. And then when they go older, when what happens? Tarunavastha. Once youth comes, then the hormones start getting activated. And lust plays one like a fiddle at that time. Tarunavastha, Taruni, Raktam, Taruni, Raktam. It's completely caught in the... So the man gets attracted to a woman, women get attracted to the man. And they're constantly searching, with whom can I develop a relationship, who can be my partner, how can I enjoy more. So the mind, almost like during especially the years of youth, the mind just switches off from everything else, or it just focuses on sense gratification, and everything else becomes surrounded. Even if the thoughts go everywhere else, they all ultimately come back to this only. How can I? This Tarunavastha, Taruni, Raktam. And then after that, Vruddhavastha, Chinta, Magnam. In old age, there is Chinta. Why there's anxiety at all times, but in old age, especially anxiety is very great because in old age, one is having no capacity to do anything. In youth, at least one had health, one had energy, so one can run around and do things and make things happen. But in the old age, one wants things to happen in a particular way. You should act like this, he should do like that, that person should do like that. But one can't control others. And once one can't control one's own body also. And old people are often put aside on the side, neglected. So then what happens? Vruddhavastha, Chinta, Magnam. So the only thing that person can do is just stoop, be lost, brood in worry. Oh, will this happen? Will that happen? Will that happen? Chinta, Magnam. And then in this way, at every stage in life, there is distraction. And therefore, Param Brahma Kopi Nasaktam. So actually neither in childhood, nor in youth, nor in old age, does material life allow us to practice spiritual life. It doesn't allow us time, because something or the other is always going to distract us. So we just have to put aside these distractions forcefully. We can't postpone spiritual life thinking that later on I'll practice it. Though later on will never come. You have to do it now only. So anyway, the point here is that this is a normal situation in material world. But in Kali Yuga, things are so bad that, all distractions are at all times. There is Bala, Vastha, Chinta, Magnam. Your children, they are filled with anxiety. Now in schools often, in 4th, 5th, 6th standard, the teachers, the school management conducts stress management seminars. Now children 4, 5 old, they are meant to play around. But what happens? They have stress management seminars for them. Because so much workload and this and that, so much expectations, they're crushed by all that. So they are stressed. So even in childhood there is anxieties. And then not only that, there is Bala, Vastha, Taruni, Raktam. So what there is actually, there's a terrible phenomena called as the sexualization of childhood. This doesn't just refer to, the one horrific phenomena is that there is child sexual abuse. And often it happens by relatives and acquaintances whom the child and the parents of the child trust. So that is horrendous. But apart from that, at a commercial level, the children, they call this tweens. Now, teens are when people come to teenage, and at that time, puberty comes along and they become sexually active because of bodily hormones becoming generated. But the sexualization in childhood is that even when children are in the tweens, they are just between. From the word tween comes from the word between. They are before. They not yet come to teens, and they're just coming out of childhood. At that time only, children are they are shown models on TV and video games of boys who attract girls and girls who attract boys, and the boys are all sexualized, and the girls are all sexualized, and they wear dresses and they try to attract each other. So children are neither emotionally nor physically in a position to be meant to be sexually active at that time, and still that is thrust on them, and it's terrible. So Bala, Vastha, Taruni, Saktam is also there. And then similarly, not only in childhood all distractions are same, and similarly Taruna Avastha also. So now Taruna Avastha, Krida, Saktam. So we have video games and games like that. So even young people, they can be active, they can do so much in life. Often they are so lazy that they can't get out of their bed. And they're on their bed and there's some digital screen, they're shooting down images and they're thinking, I am a great hero. So people are so caught up in playing. Actually playing sports is one thing. There's at least some exercise, some activities there. But people spend so much energy just watching sports. Energy, money, passion, emotion. So people get caught and lost in that. Spectator sport. This is just a way people want to forget the boredom and the emptiness of their life. And that applies to old age also. Even in old age people are caught up in sports. And they just get infatuated by the sports. So similarly, actually, Vriddha Avastha, Krida Saktam is there, Vriddha Avastha, Taruni Raktam is also there. People do all sorts of things by which they can try to prolong their sex drives and their sex capacity. People do different kinds of surgeries and take different medicines, and somehow or other they try to be sexually potent and try to enjoy. So Prabhupada writes in one place that sometimes monkeys are caught and the monkey glands are extracted, and another glands are put in human beings so that humans can be sexually active. So Prabhupada says that one monkey loses his enjoyment so that another monkey can enjoy. So that is unfortunate. That's how it works. So people have people have drugs, get young drugs. That means develop as much sexual potency as you had when you were young. So take this medicine. So there was a medicine called Viagra, which was called magical get young drug, and people started taking it and enjoying. And then it was found that this drug was contraindicated for heart patients. That means if it could lead to severe problems when a person had heart disease. So then the government said that we will not allow this drug. That was the proposal that came up. And then the people said, no, we don't have any heart problems. Why should we be deprived? So huge opposition to that. Then the government said, okay, we will allow this drug to be sent only on when a doctor gives us a green signal that this patient doesn't have any heart problems, so give him this drug. And people are so desperate to enjoy that when the regular physician knows that they have got a heart problem, they will not get it. So what was happening was, if people with heart symptoms take this drug, then they take the drug and they are about to enjoy, and then the whole actual sexual enjoyment is quite draining to the body. The heart starts beating and the breath starts becoming fast. It's quite a draining experience. So then when people would get excited and they're just about to enjoy and suddenly they get a heart attack and they die over there only. So because of that, they said that you cannot take this drug by yourself. It has to be with doctor's prescription. So people are so desperate, rather than going to the regular physician, they would go to some other physician, give him some extra money and tell him that, give us this drug. And without telling them about the heart problem, get that drug, take that drug and try to enjoy and get a heart attack and die. So this is even in the old age. Vriddhavastha taruni raktam. Even in old age, people are attached to enjoyment, somehow desperately trying to go on, and especially nowadays, the media is targeting old people. Especially there are ads and gadgets and devices and things like that which are meant for old people, and then they try to, come on, do this, get this, eat this, and then you will be able to enjoy even now. So in this way, aneka chitta vibranta. There is just no end to the distractions that people have to go through. Just bound endlessly in material existence. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that the demoniac think that all these are accidental and due to strength of one's personal ability. What do they think? That whatever they have got, I have got this, I have got that. All this is because so Prabhupada, now this purport is not just relating with this verse. In this purport, Prabhupada is talking from for the previous verses also, where it's talking about earning money. So they think that I've got all these things, it's just by my own ability. And every demoniac person can think that he can live at the sacrifice of all others. That means he doesn't care for others. He just thinks that I want to enjoy and nobody else needs to be considered. If others are only factors in my enjoyment, otherwise they have no significance of themselves. Prabhupada gives the example of Ravana also, and he talks that how such people are entangled in material existence. So, Atma Sambhavita Stabdha Dhanamana Madanvitaha Yajante Nama Yajnaiste Dambhena Vidhipurvakam. So, Atma Sambhavitaha. Atma Sambhavitaha means self-complacent and stabdha, impudent. They don't care for any authority. They think I am as my own authority. I don't need anyone else. Dhanamana madanvitaha. Madanvitaha. They are absorbed in the delusion of dhanaman, of wealth and prestige. So earlier in the 10th verse, Krishna had said dambhamana madanvitaha. So here it is dhanamana madanvitaha. So there is wealth and there is the prestige. They just caught with the external. There is no inner substance. All bluff, no stuff. That is their predicament. All bluff, just show to others. I have this, I have that. But internally they have no understanding of what is the reality of life. Nor do they have any intention to harmonize themselves with the realities of life. So yajante nama yajnaiste dambhena vidhipurvakam. Yajante. They may do some yajna also. But they may do some worship, but nama yajnaiste. It is just for the sake of name. For the sake of name means name and fame. They want to be known in the world for having done this. They nama yajnaiste dambhena vidhipurvakam. Dambhena, it's filled with arrogance. So you say dambha means what? One wants to, one doesn't have the inner substance, but by putting the outer appearance, one wants respect from others. And then when they want to do this sort of thing, they will also do it avidhipurvakam. They don't want to follow, they are not interested in spiritual advancement, and they don't even believe that scriptures are the word of God. So that's why they don't care for vidhis. They just want to do religious rituals so that they will be respected in society. So avidhipurvakam. So what they do is, the scriptures tell us to do nama yajna, but they do yajna for nama. They don't do nama yajna. Nama yajna is chanting of the holy name, but yajna for a nama is they want people to know my name. You know, I did this, I did this, I did a sacrifice, I did this, I did that. So they completely lose their sense of purpose in life. This is how moha jala samavritaha. They are just caught up in trying to get more and more, enjoy more and more, parade it more and more. So religion becomes just a facelift, not a faith lift for them. It doesn't lift their faith, it doesn't lift their heart. It's a facelift, temporary, try to look better. That is a monstrous underutilization of spiritual life. And Prabhupada here talks about even people who become renunciates. They take the dress of the renounced order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Why? Now they take the dress of the renounced order because they want prestige. And they think, okay, in a pious society, renounced order will give me prestige. So they get for the sake of prestige, they get it, but then they have no intention of following the rules and regulations of the renounced order. So they just do all sorts of avidhi purvakam, they do nonsense in the name of religion. And they not only ruin themselves, but they ruin religion at large, they ruin the reputation of the renounced order, and they just live hypocritically. So in this way, Krishna describes a wide gamut of the psychologies, of the typical psychologies of the demoniac people. And in the next section, we will discuss about their destinations, what happens to them. That we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.